It's 1984, and 18-year-old Janet Jackson is a child of privilege with a grown-up's share of problems, forced to make decisions few other teenagers could even imagine. Janet leaves the cast of the show Fame, even though her father had ordered her to take the part.
I'm sure they wanted to fire me on Fame. And I wanted to be fired too, so I finally asked to be let out of my contract, and they let me go.
Janet is ready to move in a new direction, and some new people in her life help her do just that. One of them is a young dancer named Rene Elizondo.
Rene goes way back to the time that Janet was having her first marital problems. And he was there as a friend. And eventually, that friendship that the two of them shared turned into, something stronger and more romantic.
Now, after leaving Fame, Janet returns to her family's musical roots.
My life felt like so crazy. I said, let me just get out of this and visit the singing thing again.
For her third album, Janet hooks up with respected music producers Jimmy Jam Harris and Terry Lewis. They've worked with Prince, but are still intimidated to meet with Janet's manager and father, Joseph.
Mr. Jackson said, I don't want my daughter to sound like Prince. Don't have her sounding like Prince, because we don't like Prince, and we don't want to sound like Prince. And we're like, no, Mr. Jackson. Nope, she's going to have her own sound.
And that sound will be developed without Joseph Jackson. Janet goes to Minnesota to work with Jimmy and Terry. It is a fateful trip.
Janet at first was very shy about opening herself up. She had just had a marriage annul. We went and hung out at a bunch of lakes. We went to a few clubs and just kind of hung out. She said, when are we going to start working? And we said, we already are working.
Janet starts to confide in her new friends and colleagues about how she needs to get control of her life.
And it's just kind of set the stage or set the tone for sort of an awakening, not only musical on the record, but I think as a person too.
Working with Jimmy and Terry is a whole new experience, and a new Janet is emerging. A very private woman, so reluctant to talk about herself, learns to sing from her heart. The album is a radical departure from the sweet sound of Janet's earlier work. The songs are deeply personal. The sound is funky.
That was the defining moment of she's gone from, pubescent TV star to becoming a super pop star in the making.
Janet's learned from Michael that it's not just about the music. Like her brother, she puts everything into her music videos to win over the MTV generation.
I was blown away at the video shoot because seeing this quiet, shy girl in rehearsal, I never thought I would see such a performer in real life, and that was incredible.
I want to be the one in control.
This was the turning point in her life, and everyone loved it and got it. And that video, the way she dances so hard, and she's sweating, and she's moving around and jumping, she's letting you know that she's in control.
Control sells a phenomenal 8 million copies and produces 5 hit singles. Janet also wins an American Music Award. She's thrilled, but forgets to thank Jimmy and Terry in her acceptance speech.
I'd like to thank my parents and A&M Records.
Janet is horrified by the oversight. She takes out a full-page ad in Billboard to apologize and thank them.
You don't have to thank us in front of a million people so that we feel any differently than, we're like family.
Give me a beat!
With all the success in her professional life, Janet decides to assert control in her personal life as well. She summons up all of her courage and tearfully dismisses her father as her manager, just as her brothers did before her.
Breaking away from Joseph was difficult for all the kids. I mean, they had to fire him as a manager. There were a lot of emotional implications to that kind of a decision.
The emotional implications for Joseph are just as profound.
He felt that he was losing his kids as well as losing his clientele. His entire family was his life. And say what you will about Joseph, he was devoted and dedicated to his family.
Janet was raised a Jehovah's Witness, but her push for independence now leads to another gut-wrenching decision. She decides to take her own spiritual path and rejects her mother's faith and other organized religions.
Janet's a deeply spiritual person, but at a relatively early age, she understood that her mother's religion was not her religion.
She let us, when we turned 18, just to explore. If you want to, you know, look into this or that religion, some of us are Catholics, some of us are Muslim. That was okay with her, and how awesome is that?
It's been a remarkable period of personal growth. Now, Janet focuses like a laser on her career, determined to take her success to the next level. But her family is about to sink into a world of scandal and tabloid headlines. For the very private Janet, the burdens of being a Jackson are about to become all too public.